Thank you for making time to be here, and thanks for your interest in the JobSIDE tool that the Chamber of Commerce Foundation is developing. Before we get started, I've been asked to flag this. If you are a SHRM professional, when you go back into the Great Hall, make sure you scan this QR code so you can get credit for being here. So I'll give this back to you, Lexi. But yeah, when you go back to the Great Hall, make sure you scan this, or we can leave this in here. If you guys want to go back to the back room, get refreshments, you can scan this while you're in here. So, to get started, I'd just like to do a quick introduction of myself. My name is Taylor Hansen. I am Executive Director of Policy and Programs at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation, where I oversee two of our program initiatives, one being the T3 Innovation Network that Jason Tishko touched on earlier today, as well as JobSIDE that Jason touched on earlier today. And we're going to do a little bit of a deeper dive into JobSIDE, as well as we have a demonstration video that we'll share with you, and then we will be able to answer any of your questions. But before we get started, and before I introduce my colleague, I want to give, we are currently, JobSIDE, as Jason mentioned, is still being developed, but we are in alpha testing right now. And Chris from our San Antonio chamber has graciously made some time to come in here and just share briefly about his alpha testing experience before he has to run to another breakout session. So Chris, if you want to come up here real quick, share a little about your experience in the JobSIDE tool and what your thoughts are and impressions are now, then Sandra and I will take over. But thanks, Chris.
Hey, good to see everybody. Christopher Mammon with Greater SATX. So I just got involved in the JobSIDE training recently, so did some of the beta testing, general testing of the resource and the software, and it's got a good user experience. There are some communicated possible improvements that I know the team is already working on and working towards, but really the functionality of digging deep into the job descriptions and the roles is what will differentiate JobSIDE from just the general conversations that you might have with employers on skill sets, because it's digging deep into what they're actually listing within those job descriptions and not just what they're necessarily communicating, verbally or in these collaborative conversations. So it's really holding them to validate how they are advertising these roles in the community and really helping kind of understand where career exploration or career awareness can be improved too as well through this validation process of the skill sets and the job descriptions. So still early on. I'm still available for testing and reviews as needed, but I think everybody should definitely, all of y'all are in this session, so you already are, but should give a good look to this resource and how it could really just be another tool within the TPM process. Strategy 3 and 5, right? 3 and 5 within it, and not replacing the web tool, but another opportunity for improving how we gather the data. Data's gold, and validating that data is more important. So just a great resource. So it's later in our process for some of our collaboratives, but something that we'll go back to and use as a resource when it is fully launched. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And as Chris mentioned, we're in the alpha testing, so we're excited to keep working with our alpha testers, and then we'll move to the next phase of development and testing. But Chris had to run, so we didn't want to wait until the end to do that. We thought we'd just have him help set the stage. So again, my name is Taylor Hansen. I'm Executive Director of Policy and Programs at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation. And today I'm joined by Sandra from Eduworks, who is a new member of the Eduworks team. And I'll let her do a quick intro when she comes up. But so we're here today to answer any questions and talk to you about the JobSIDE tool. So as Jason mentioned earlier today, JobSIDE is a new tool that will be available to not just TPM practitioners, but any business or any collaborative out there that wants to create frameworks. But the reason we got to this point where we need something like JobSIDE is because of TPM. JobSIDE is really designed to help anyone who's going through or has been through the TPM Academy and the TPM process to really streamline and enhance some of the strategies that you employ through the TPM framework. And TPM was really critical in terms of how we help transition from just the traditional hiring models to really creating and taking what we have learned from the supply chain models and applying that to talent and skills, and helping employers identify what are the critical skills that they need the talent coming into their organizations to have is really how they can help kind of create and streamline that supply chain of talent and skills. And that is done, as Jason kind of talked about earlier today, through the TPM framework. And specifically, strategies 3 and 5 is what the JobSIDE tool is designed to help support and streamline the process of. So when you're in your strategies 3 and 5, and I haven't gone through TPM yet, that's something I want to do. I've been with the Chamber for about a year, and so one of my goals over the next year is to go through a TPM Academy so I can learn what many of you in the room have learned about TPM. But traditionally and historically through the TPM Academy and through the TPM process, when you get to strategies 3 and 5, it has been historically a very laborious process to really align and communicate those job requirements. Has been a way that's traditionally been done through lots of sharing of Excel spreadsheets and emails back and forth with these collaborations. And so what we're hoping is that with JobSIDE, we can really streamline that process and make it a lot more user-friendly. And there's some really cool things that Eduworks has helped to kind of add to enhance to this streamlining process with some of their new and improved AI tools and other things to really help make the JobSIDE tool very user-friendly and efficient in helping identifying and curating the skills that you are identifying for your job skill profiles and frameworks. And as Jason also talked briefly today, this is about validating skills. So the reason behind JobSIDE is there's a lot of data out there on the skills that employers are looking for based off of job postings. But those job postings aren't necessarily skills-rich and skills-focused. And so what we're hoping through JobSIDE is that these tools and frameworks that will be generated through the JobSIDE tool is that these will be validated right from the mouth of the employers. You will know when you're looking at a framework or a profile that's been published onto JobSIDE that that came from a specific employer. You can look at these regionally, you can look at them geographically, or you can look at them by industry and identify what are the key job skills that employers are really validating and looking for, and knowing that these were curated and identified by employers. So one of the things, so my area of focus at the Chamber of Commerce Foundation has been mentioned a couple times today is the T3 Innovation Network. And so one of the things that got me excited about the JobSIDE tool is that it allows me to kind of learn more about the other programs, initiatives happening within the Chamber of Commerce Foundation. And because it helps kind of bring some of the innovations and thought processes and use cases from T3 and applies it to some of the other programs, including TPM. So the T3 Innovation Network, I know Jason did a quick 90-second overview of it earlier today, but it's our mission with T3 is to enable that digital transformation of the talent marketplace. And we want to make sure that that digital transformation takes place in a way that allows that data to be transportable and portable across systems. We call that interoperability. We want that data to be able to flow across systems, flow across stakeholder groups. And those stakeholder groups are employers, education and training providers, government agencies, technology partners. And the reason we want this data to flow across these different systems is we want to make sure that all learning counts. Not all learning takes place in the classroom, as everybody knows. Most of my learning and my skills have been curated in the workplace. And so how can we identify and curate those skills and identify those skills and make sure that all of our learning counts across the different modalities? And then we want to make sure that those skills can be used like currency. How can those skills and that data that those skills are embedded in, how can that flow across systems and be used like currency? And then how can we empower learners and workers with their own data? And we achieve this through we call it T3, the network of networks. We have 4 sub-networks within the T3 Innovation Network. And that's our Data and Technology Standards Network, our Open Competencies Network, our Learning and Employment Records Network, and our Jobs and Workforce Data Network. And these networks have been very use case driven and use case focused in developing projects and tools and resources for the community. And a lot of this data is what oftentimes gets put into what Jason talked a little bit earlier today in a different breakout called learning and employment records. But those are standardized data formats. And we wanted to take that T3, some of our learnings and use cases from T3 and apply it across our different programs. So that's where we came up with JobSIDE to kind of put some of our learnings and thought processes from T3 and apply that to TPM. So JobSIDE is going to be a collection of tools and applications where you will be able to create, produce, and share job profiles and job skill frameworks. This is going to be, as I said earlier, through Strategy 3 in the workflow for the TPM Academy. And then through the JobSIDE tool, you'll be able to publish and share your job skill profiles. You'll be able to collaborate with each other and share your profiles before you publish them to get feedback and validation from your peers. And we're hopeful this can really help with kind of like, we call this like a change project or change learning, where we can really think about how can we help employers think about the skills that are really required for the jobs that they are looking for. Instead of thinking about job requirements and job duties, thinking about the skills that are needed to achieve those responsibilities in the workplace. And by identifying those skills, we can really help to allow skills-based hiring to take place. And then we're hoping through JobSIDE that the skills that you're identifying and curating across either your own employer or across a collaborative of employers, those can be shared with education and training provider partners to help map their curriculum and their certificates and training programs to the skills that you're looking for. It also is going to have provenance data. So if you are creating a job skills profile through the JobSIDE tool and you pull in skills from the NIST framework or from the credential engine library, you're pulling in these different skills and different competency definitions. They can download these different profiles and see which definitions are being used, and then you can make changes, you can edit those skill definitions, you can make updates to them. It's really going to help provide some of that feedback loop. And as you publish profiles for your jobs, you'll see who across the country is borrowing from your job profiles, your job skill profiles. You can see who's borrowing from them, which skills are being most used. If you've updated a definition for a skill, you can see if that definition's been used in other job skill profiles in the same industry in other regions. So we want to create this feedback loop so that, one, employers can get feedback from their peers, and also the jobs and those who create and curate frameworks can get feedback on the skills that they are creating and curating for their frameworks. So that's a quick overview of JobSIDE. Yes?
Can I ask a quick question about some of that?
Yes.
Some of that is, so if I'm going in as an employer and I pull a job title, does it automatically give me a recommended set based on what other people are leveraging and saying is the correct? So it's always learning. It's a potentially learning system.
So we have a video that we'll play that shows that we have a demonstration video that shows kind of how that will work. So we'll watch that video and then we'll take some questions. Hopefully the video answers some of your questions.
I'm known for asking questions.
That's what we're here for, is questions. So hopefully the video will answer some of those, but I'd hate to double speak. So let's make sure that we'll watch the video and then we can go back and follow up on some of those questions.
You'll probably answer my question, sorry.
Yes. So it's already in your swag bag. So if you look at the JobSIDE segment, we're going to show a snippet of that video. It's a 15, 16-minute video. We're only going to show about 6 minutes of it here because we don't want to, it's a long video for just sitting here and listening to somebody else talk, but it's a good video. So there's additional information that we're not going to share today that's part of that full demonstration video that you can watch offline. But now I will turn the time over to Sandra. Before we turn over to Sandra. So JobSIDE, these are the suite of tools that JobSIDE has. So we have our job skills framework generator. This was where you can upload a Word document of a job posting, and it can help extract skills. The tool can do that. We have our job skills profile publisher, where you can take those frameworks and then convert them into a profile to publish. And then those are all connected to the job skills library. And that library is connected to some of our T3 innovation projects, mainly our Competency Explorer tool. And if you want to learn more about Competency Explorer, we don't have time for that today, but I'm happy to schedule time to walk through Competency Explorer with any of you at a later date. As Jason mentioned earlier today when he talked about JobSIDE, we will have an API that's going to be shared for users. And then we also have the mapping tool and feature. So those are the tools that JobSIDE will have. We're going to really show how the framework generator and profile publisher work through with the video that we're sharing today. And then if anybody wants a full demonstration, we'd be happy to schedule those offline with our Eduworks colleagues to do a full offline demonstration to walk through even in more detail some of the questions you may have. But now I'll turn it over to Sandra to talk a little bit about Eduworks, their role in the project and where they're at, and then we'll move to the video.
Thank you so much, Taylor, and thank you also to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation for having me here today. So I'm super excited and honored being here and sharing about our job skills application. And so what is our job skills application? So it emerged out of SkillSync. And SkillSync uses AI and national skills data to help companies identify required skills, connect them with college continuing education departments, and enables colleges to respond with efficient and equitable learning solutions. And in 2019, the National Sciences Foundation launched a Convergence Accelerator. The program funds multidisciplinary teams to solve societal challenges through convergence, research, and innovation. And so Eduworks Corporation partnered with multiple employers, higher education institutions across the United States, and were funded by the Track B AI and the Future of Work Convergence Accelerator program in 2019. In 2023, Step Up was added to SkillSync, and Step Up stands for the Skills-Based Talent Ecosystem Platform for Upskilling, and it brings the worker into the mix. So it connects workers, training providers, and employers to each other based on skills. It uses AI to map jobs and trainings to skills frameworks and other skills gap analysis, training, and skills-based credentials. Workers can see the skills needed for a specific job, identify existing skills gaps, and access training to fill these gaps. And then also employers can express job skills requirements and find workers who meet these requirements. So therefore, Step Up is a complete talent ecosystem solutions. So as Taylor said, we will have a short video demonstration. We will only do part of it. So you can access the full video through the QR code that is in your program handout. And as you also said, Taylor, we are more than happy at Eduworks to schedule a meeting where we help you run through the whole application from there. So hopefully our video will help answer your questions. I'm also happy to answer any kind of questions you have afterwards. So enjoy.
Oops. I will create a new job skills profile. I will create a profile for a security architect. Next, I'll add a description for the role of security architect. As mentioned before, skills are at the heart of the talent supply chain, and they are the core of a job skills profile. I have a few different options for adding skills to the profile. The first option for adding skills is to extract them from an available text formatted job description. I will use an existing job description for a security architect. When I upload the job description, the JobSIDE AI service will analyze the content and generate skill recommendations. Using the information and text of the job description, the AI forms a conceptual model of the data that can be compared to models with similar context. These comparisons result in a list of recommended skills for the job skills profile. These results represent the first version of skill recommendations from the JobSIDE AI service. We are currently working on improved versions by defining a standard output format for skill statements and by reducing potential bias toward gender, race and ethnicity, and disability status. I will now select a few of the recommended skills to include in my job skills profile. After adding the skills, I will set the level and criticality for each skill. Note that the AI service recommendation includes a suggested criticality. I can choose to keep this suggestion or change it. Next, I will add skills from the repository of existing frameworks and skills or competencies. When setting a search term, the text entered will search through names and statements of existing skills. Results indicate the origin framework of the skills and are marked with a blue asterisk if the source is a curated framework. Curated frameworks are determined and defined by a process outside of the JobSIDE application. The search can additionally be filtered by selected frameworks. I will select a couple of frameworks to filter and execute the search again. This time, the results are limited to frameworks that I explicitly selected. I will add a few of these to my profile. As before, I can set the level and criticality for each. Lastly, I will create a new skill. This option creates a custom skill that will not be associated with a curated framework. For now, I will set the name and statement as the same. When adding a custom skill, JobSIDE searches for similar skills in curated frameworks. I can view the similar skills found and choose one to use instead of my custom skill. This encourages use of existing well-defined skills within the profile. I can now set the level and criticality of this skill as well. A job skills profile has additional information associated with it to identify purpose and enable trend analysis and mapping. Options available for job skills profile purpose include job, occupation, and business function. I will set the job level to mid, the location to Denver, Colorado, and the job demand to high. Occupation has no restrictions, but SOC codes and descriptions are available to select from. Likewise, industry has NACE codes and descriptions available to choose from. For a job skills profile to be visible to all users, including guests, it must be validated and published. At the beginning of this process, the profile starts out as a draft. A draft is only available to its creator or through a link provided by its creator. A link is shared through the option to request a validation. Requesting validation is available when saving a job skills profile and also in the job skills profile library.
Okay, so hopefully that helped you to get a first kind of impression what JobSIDE can do. And so another functionality that we didn't want to show you in depth is the job skills mapper. And the job skills mapper allows users to map job skills to learning outcomes and show alignment between both. So learning opportunities are created by training providers in pretty much the same way how job skills profiles are created by the business users. And so this is a screenshot of our job skills mapper. And then the job skills mapper also has the opportunity so that each learning opportunity includes learning outcomes. And as you probably all know, our learning outcomes are actionable or measurable outcomes that the learner is expected to know or be able to do after a training. So JobSIDE allows to map skills to a learning outcome, and it's also possible to map multiple outcomes to a skill, and each outcome can be mapped to more than one skill. So maps can be saved and retrieved by all users. So again, if you want to see more of these functionalities, we are more than happy to schedule individual meetings over Zoom with you and to show you more of these functionalities in depth. And also the video that my colleague Carrie put together also has a more in-depth demonstration of the job skills mapper. So my email address will be shown at the end. So if you're interested to meet with us, please shoot me an email and we are happy to connect.
So hopefully that video and seeing a couple screenshots of what the mapping tool will look like demonstrate kind of what we hope the potential and value add will be to anybody who wants to use JobSIDE, but especially our TPM practitioners. We're hoping that our main goal is to make your lives easier when you're going through strategies 3 and 5, and hopefully JobSIDE will achieve that. But we also want to make sure that the JobSIDE can be a value add to the broader ecosystem of any employer out there or any employer collaborative out there who wants to start creating job skill profiles. They can use the tool to do so. So what's next for JobSIDE? So currently we are in alpha testing. That will wrap up at the end of the month, and then we will work with our Eduworks team to take some of the feedback from our alpha testers to improve and enhance the tool. We will then wrap up kind of phase 1 of development, and then we'll move into really getting JobSIDE to even a more refined MVP, where we can do some additional beta and pilot testing, and hopefully have it released sometime next year for full public use and access. But we really want to make sure that we are testing, so if that's something that you're interested in, if you would like to be part of any future testing of the JobSIDE tool before it's fully released, don't hesitate to reach out. If you want to learn more about the tool or more about what it can do, we'd love to schedule a demonstration with you. And we want to make sure that these publishing tools are really useful, so don't hesitate to reach out. So that's kind of like the next steps for JobSIDE. Now, that's the promised contact information that Sandra said would be there if you want to reach out to her or myself to schedule those demonstration videos. And this PowerPoint is in your swag bag as well, so you can find it there. So you don't have to type out the email. You can just copy and paste it real quickly from there. But now we'll just move into kind of Q&A. Are there any questions that you all have? Did that video answer some of the questions that you maybe had percolating in the back of your mind? But we'd love to hear just feedback from you on what your first impressions are or any questions you might have. Yes?
Taylor, not to jump too far ahead, but first of all, thank you, because in my experience, strategy 3 can be a real burdensome process, right, y'all? So do you envision that as the curriculum is getting another refresh and look at, that this would be like a separate module that would be covered as part of the TPM Academy?
I believe so. That's part of what we'll be working with our TPM colleagues on how and when to really deploy JobSIDE into the TPM protocols. So once it's fully ready, we can figure out what the best way is to incorporate it into the suite of TPM online tools.
Well, and I love the national look, right, as national credentialing and all these other movements are going on. I mean, we're all sitting in our own geographies doing the same body of work for the same jobs. I just think this is a huge efficiency gain for a district.
Yeah, so hopefully wherever you're based, if you're based in Detroit, you can see what people in the the same industry in Tallahassee or Austin, Texas are identifying as their critical skills for the same jobs.
Particularly when our big corporations are often sitting in a variety of different geographies, and we're all individually doing the same work, so it's awesome to see.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Was your question answered to a certain?
So will it predictably alter what we are publicizing to the nation as the most critical skills? Does that make sense?
So it won't alter your specific job skill profile that you create. So once you publish it, your profile won't change.
No, well, I guess what I'm asking is, are we going to learn from what people are putting in it? And are we going to change the narrative?
I think the narrative being changed is going to be kind of left up to industries and those who create frameworks. But did you want to ask them, Jason?
There's going to be some initial artificial intelligence applications in here. Over time, you can improve the tool, and you want to actually make it push it right away. Here's another way of describing the skill, or here's a skill you might want to consider for this position because you see it popping up in other profiles. So that capability will only be better over time, but we're trying to figure out just how much better and how to go.
Yeah, and I wouldn't expect us to have it at launch because we have to learn, right? But I do, I mean, I love the tool, but I wouldn't love the tool if it's not learning, because I think that's the thing that you get through all the laborsome pieces when people can't come up with the same vocabulary and they don't speak the same language when it comes to jobs and job-specific skill sets. When you start doing that laborious work, and you get it, but if something can do the laborious work and use AI to make it simpler for me, I love that.
Yeah, well, that's the goal, right? Like right now, the AI will already help you, but that's what we work with Eduworks over the next year or so as we're getting it ready for launch is how can we make sure that the AI will learn? So as new skills, because right now it's going to recommend skills from the curated frameworks that it has access to, but as people start adding in their own skill definitions, as we start expanding the repositories of libraries that JobSIDE has access to, then it can really refine the AI model to help it with that language model to identify what skills are being most critical.
Sophisticated industries or small businesses, I think could like really benefit from this particular process, because this gives them, like you were saying, Jason, gives them that recommendation. And if I have what I call, I don't know, I worked at Hewlett Packard and we called everything that was a giraffe a straw dog. So if I have a straw dog that I can poke holes at, that makes it so much easier if I'm the office manager who just got promoted to HR, so to speak, because someone wants me to be in a collaborative and talk about something that I don't know anything about, which never happens, y'all.
Jason, yeah.
There's a learning aspect, but what we also are trying to do with this tool is encourage people to pick borrow and steal from each other. So if you're organizing a construction collaborative in Houston, and we know that there's a construction collaborative in Phoenix and one in Vermont and perhaps another one somewhere else, how can we make it easy for you to go, where have other crews profiles for jobs like this? What have their employers validated? I might want to use that and customize it a little bit as opposed to starting from scratch. Right now,
Houston
you're
will
not
volunteer to help you build the network. I have 500 plus employees that have done the hard work, and we can input that, a lot of that for you guys from their job descriptions. I want to be a, this is the cool thing. I'm excited.
Awesome. Thoughts I had? Yes, ma'am.
I guess question and maybe hope. So in thinking of that, thinking about efficiencies on the employer side, I'm thinking about how it maps back from K-12 and then post-secondary, like those job descriptions. I mean, a lot of the work that I'm doing right now is K-12 districts, understanding what job positions are. And a lot of times the post-secondary part functions, the secondary, and I think this would be valuable as it maps back to where it's outcomes, that's something that even our high schools could look at and what they can have. That's one of the competencies that they should achieve at that level that are carrying on throughout the pathways. So my hope is that would be helpful in that. Putting that out there, if it's not already out, I haven't seen the video yet, but
Well, that's what the mapping tool is we're hoping will be helpful for, whether it's either embedded in the tool or an employer, an education training provider partner of yours can download and extract the data from a profile and map it internally to their own curriculum. So they can either be done through the tool or it can be done offline as well, because all this data can be exported in structured data formats. So it'll allow for education training provider partners to do that on their own, or they can use their own mapping tool within JobSIDE. As long as they've uploaded their information to the tool, it can be done there, or they can do it themselves offline. But that's the goal, is to really get people to start thinking about how, by employers identifying their critical skills, it can help education training provider partners understand how to signal those skills back to the employers. Like, so when people are leaving with a certificate or some sort of training badge, that embedded within that certificate or training badge can be those skills. We're hoping that can be done in a structured data format so that they can be signaling and translating skills back and forth. Yes?
For the certifications and things like that, as an employer, excuse me, as an employee builds their own profile out, self-designates, once those certifications, like if they expire, will they automatically fall off of those profiles? Or will they just sit there as kind of empty space database?
Well, the skill definitions or competency definitions that they're going to be adding to the profile, there shouldn't be expiration dates on those. It's, since those are going to be part of like frameworks, but as those frameworks are updated, that's where we're going to have to work with the tool to make sure it can update those who have selected some of those definitions. That they've been updated or changed, then we need to make sure that it can do that. But that's where we'll have to work through some of those, fine-tuning the tool in the future. But I don't even know if that's been brought up before.
If you're gonna be able to update them, we'll have like a timestamp, so we'll know if something that's in there for 5 years. And we'll have to figure out if there's a process to take things away over time. We just don't have that process figured out right now. We just get some stuff in and we'll have to update it, and then we'll kind of figure out the policy around, when can something be taken down.
Right, the construction industry on its own has a number, hundreds of certifications, and they have to be re-upped every year, so those kinds of pieces. Thank you.
Yep. Do we have time for one more? Okay.
So piecing all the different pieces together, we were hearing about LERs earlier, and the question that came to mind that I didn't get to ask then was, how are we going to standardize the language so that the same skill means the same skill means the same skill across different employers? So how is this and the LERs aligning in terms of skills base and data mapping, so that if you had an LER and you fed it into this as candidate, that we're making sure that it's apples to apples?
So that's where that data interoperability is critical. So we want to make sure that the LER, and depending on who you talk to, some people have different definitions of LERs, but for us, an LER is really that data rich that has those skill and competency definitions embedded within the LER. So when it's being used when it's machine actionable, that machine can then make sure it's being mapped to the skills that you've identified that are critical for the job that you're hiring for. And so when it comes to the different skill definitions, we're not necessarily going to get in the business of trying to make everybody coalesce around a specific definition for a specific skill. But that's where, if that's where the industry goes in certain areas, then that's where the industry goes in certain areas, and that's where JobSIDE can help different industries identify the skills that are critical. And as you see what somebody's using in Detroit and other people using in Little Rock, if there's slight differentiations, that may not be enough to warrant a big issue. But that's where, if that's what happens in some industries, is that kind of coalescing around definitions, and that's what happens. But we don't want to be drivers of that. We just want to give them the tools to do that and let the market take it where it goes. Is that?
Add on that, two things. One of the things we're trying to solve for is give people better access to these frameworks to take action. Now, if you have these out there and there's data that you can grab and use, instead of making a claim about somebody, like you demonstrated this skill and I'm going to offer that personally, I can go grab one of these profiles and make sure semantically the language I use to describe your skill is consistent with that employer dollar framework. So we're saying the same thing. I can use frameworks to make assertions. I don't have to offer everything in an original way. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is, theoretically, that mapping application would support not only mapping to a curriculum or a credential, but you could potentially do direct mapping to somebody's record that they provide you. So you can assess fit that way. So it's something you can experiment with down the road.
It's definitely, I think, anybody who's been on the employee side or the employer side, there's 19 words for corporate social responsibility. And the number of times I had to rewrite my resume just to change that one word so that it would get picked up by the AI reader of the job application. It's a struggle on both sides. I know there's converting veteran skill sets and the language from the military into civilian language, and there's like 4 people that are making a lot of money just translating things. So with the AI that's out there in the world and the 2 technologies that the chamber is working on, I think there's a great opportunity to help like standardize that language and somehow have the machine learning do that translation for everybody and say, no, if they say, employee giving, that's the same as employee engagement, that's the same as this, that's the same as this, and yes, check box on that skill, instead of putting it on, the employer and the employee to wrangle with the terminology. So.
That's all great food for thought for us to consider as we keep deploying JobSIDE and other tools in the future. But I think with that, we are out of time. But if you have any more questions, don't hesitate to reach out to either of us to schedule time to learn more about JobSIDE and other tools that we have. So thank you very much, everybody.
Hi. It's so great to see so many of your faces, and I'm sure I've emailed pretty much every single person in this room. I'm Lexi. I didn't get to introduce myself earlier today. I'm here to let you know where we're going next. So next we will be in the Great Hall, which is where you had your lunch today, learning about the pain points via job quality. We're going to have a discussion on that. So in just a few moments, we'll open the doors and let you all back into the Great Hall. Please let us know if you have any questions.